Gave you a little bit of time. Let's try this again. Type hashtag answers by guess into the comments during the live show. First 10 people, if we get more, we'll add them in. We'll random you off. Free t shirt. Answers by guess, answers with guess. This is season 7. This is week 3.5. The halftime adjustments. We are Fantasy Football's inside scoop from outside the box, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, adults and little kids. This was a crazy week. We're going to try and unpack as best as we can. I'm looking out. I'm seeing everybody's waiver wire pickups. We told you about these people. We told you to draft these people. We wanted you to pick these people up weeks ago. The big name out there is the elephant in the room this week. We all already knew about him. Most of you already rostered him. Let's see what's going on. See if we got any comments. I got one comment. I got one person. One person's watching the intros. It's a smart man. It's a very smart man. We told you to do so. Let's get into this. Week 3, answers by guess. I don't know what's going on here. The whole thing's messed up. ABG3P, once again, we were 18-11. Another 60 to 70% week. In my opinion, not good enough. I believe that's about 62, 63%. If you're watching us for the first time and you have no clue what ABG3P is, it's basically what we do for our main show to sort of expedite it. We get to talk a little bit about each game. My partner in crime, Rob, who does not join us during the week. More on that later for this week. What's up, Nate? What's up, Craig? He comes up with some props, some questions to see how I feel. And we got 18 right this week. I got 11 wrong this week. It's right around where we're hanging. As the year goes on, we typically strive to do better than that. That's profitable if you're betting, and a lot of the lines on them aren't too expensive. I mean, that's profitable, but we want to make more money than that. Number 10, our countdown for the week. We do a top 10 David Letterman style. Craziness. What's up, Mikey? The Cardinals beating the Cowboys. A fullback returning a kickoff for a touchdown. The Dolphins dropping 70. This is like every year, every season, there's 1 or 2 weeks at least where things are just bonkers. And this was, I think, our first trip into Bonkerville for the 2023 season. Week 4 is going to be crazy. We got the London game. They're doing the Toy Story broadcast. That's going to be probably pretty cool if you got little kids. Try and get them hooked. But this week 3 was nuts. We saw a little bit of adjustment to the means that was good to see. Still some guys lagging a little bit behind, but we had a lot of good calls this week. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I steered you the wrong way, please call me out. But a lot of people were chiming in with questions, and I feel like I nailed a good amount of them, and hopefully you won. On to week 4, ladies and gentlemen, there's your marquee matchup. The Bears get to play the Broncos. Could it set up any better than that? If you say the NFL is scripted, this is your bread and butter. If you say it's not scripted, then how the hell did this work out? The Bears, who can't get anything done. The Broncos, who got beat by 50, gave up 70, are playing each other. We'll talk more about that when we talk more about what's going to happen this week when we do our main slate. Number 8, I've never seen anything like this before. maybe a few years ago, but not with this position. This is more of a wide receiver type thing, but it's flipped. There are 60. I was going through a list. I was counting, maybe even closer to 70. I was just going through all available or all players just in one of my Yahoo leagues because I'm like, I've never seen it where so many teams have so many running backs who are fantasy worthy, rosterable, and rostered. None of them are good. There's 5 or 6. If you don't have one of those 5 or 6, I mean, with Eckler being out, with Barkley being out, with Chubb being out, I mean, there's like 5 or 6 guys. Like CMC's good to go, Pollard's good to go, couple other ones. But other than that, I mean, it's just these teams and these rosters are just filled. My teams are filled. There's a Chubb owner in 4 leagues, Barkley owner in 1. And it's just my team is just filled with guys. I'm just waiting for them to do something. You're not alone. If you feel like you have a team full of running backs that are absolute trash, it's the entire league this year. It's the entire league. And once again, the quarterback and the wide receivers are looking very, very good in Houston. I talked about this the week 2.5 Answers with Guest show. And I said it was going to be Tank Dell last week and not so much Nico Collins. It's exactly how it worked out. We'll see how we feel as we get closer to Sunday about these guys again. But the ebbs and flows come into play. So if you're somebody that had Nathaniel Dell on your bench and you feel like you're going to put him in this week and chase last week's points, it might not work out that way. Once I start to analyze these games leading up to the show, we'll see how I feel about it. I got to look at the matchups with the cornerbacks and whatnot. But, I mean, they got 4 solid wide receivers. And they got Brevin Jordan involved, which was nice to see. He got a touchdown last week. I loved him last year as a tight end. Number 6, Puka's allergic to the end zone. He didn't blow it out the water like he did week 1 and 2. This is about the 3rd or the 4th time where he got tackled at the 1 or 2. And it happened last night. That changed a lot of outcomes. I lost a matchup where I had Puka. Well, if Puka would have scored, I would have won the matchup. I had Kyron. He couldn't get in. And then the very next play, Tutu Atwell got the touchdown that cut the lead to essentially 7, 6, or 8, and then 7. You know what I mean? Cut to 3, 4, then 3. I was playing against Tutu. I lost by half a point. I had Kyron. I was up by 5.5. Whatever. It's just absolutely. He can't get in the end zone, but he's doing everything else right. We'll see what happens in not the next week, but the week after. Ebbs and flows, as I sort of talked about. I said it was going to be a DK week, not Lockett. To a lot of people to bench him. Rob and I both felt very strongly about AJ Brown. I mean, that was easy to see. Squeaky wheel gets the oil. Squeaky wheel gets the grease, and we like Chase and not Higgins so much because that's how it goes. It flip-flops. Too often we want to chase it. We talk about this for 7 seasons now. I mean, these are all big names. These are all guys that more than likely you got in your lineup, but it's going to flip-flop, and you got to get through it. And some of those 2 TD games evened out, except for in Miami where they doubled. And Mr. Achane, he was called Achane all throughout college, probably in high school. But he has a big game, and he comes out and he says, I want him. My name is Achane. So it's Devon Achane. Everybody wants him now. We told you to draft him in July. We told you week 1 that you want this guy. Week 2, you want this guy. Before week 3, you want this guy. Mostert killed it, sure. After Achane scored 2 touchdowns, Mostert comes in. He rips off a couple. He's made of glass, and it's going to be Achane. And now, after this game, we'll see how they hold up. I believe they play the Bills next week. We'll see how they hold up. Maybe they're not going after Jonathan Taylor, but People are going to be spending a lot of fab, and rightly so. People are going to be wasting, well, not wasting, but spending the top priority picks on him. You could have had him last week for free. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, drafted. I don't even need to say anything. This is 3 weeks in a row he's made this top 10. He's moving further down the list, higher up the list, whichever way you want to look at it. I said it after week 1. I said they played the Packers. Said maybe the Packers would be okay. And after week 2, I was like, Jordan Love's not really that good. He's very inaccurate. We saw that last week. But after they played in week 1, I said, but Justin Fields might not be okay. And sure enough, man, he's just looking bad. He ran more last week. We'll see what happens in the bowl that they are playing with Denver this week. But it's tough, and I own him in 4 leagues. Been starting him in 3. I snuck out 1 win. It's tough, man. It's tough. The ABG league, I lost my number 1 pick all 3 seasons that we've had the league. My quarterback has been poop all 3 of those seasons. I'm living with Justin Fields. It is what it is. This one's big. And I don't like to toot my own horn, but I toot it when I need to. We were the only ones anywhere. And I would like you to try and hop into the archives of the World Wide Web and find any other professional paid where people do this for a living that said to avoid and ignore Joshua Kelly. We were the only ones. I was telling people, don't even bother with it. Now, granted, I thought Isaiah Spiller would be better for them, but he's been trashed too. Eckler's going to be back probably this week. So what's probably going to happen is as soon as he comes back, they're going to give Kelly the ball a few times, and he's going to play very well. It's going to happen. And you're going to say, well, now Kelly decides to do something. He's on my bench. It's going to happen. ABG 3P is going to be either Friday night at 9 or very late on Saturday night. And like Mr. Travolta, I will be alone. Very sad. I know we all love Rob. He is out of town. He's at a wedding in Tennessee. We're in New York. And he can't do the show. He can't do it at a wedding. So it's going to be just me. So we'll have to see what we do. So here's what I'm going to need to count on. I'm going to need to count on you all coming with some questions. I don't really want to just click games on the screen. I'm not going to come up with my own props. I don't think that's fair. I like it when Rob gives them to me. I have no clue what he's going to ask me. I start coming up with my own. I have my own biases going into it, my own thoughts about it. I like getting them hot. So we're going to have to pause ABG 3P this week just because I don't want to come up with my own unless Rob somehow, I don't know, gives them to somebody else. If somebody else wants to come on here and you can join on live, maybe we'll do that. If you want to come on and be my partner Friday night or Saturday night, by all means, let's do it. Let's get the ABG family involved if that's what you want to do. Because otherwise it's just me and you got to stare at me and listen to me, and it's much better when Rob is here. I think we'll all agree. Now, I'm going to get rid of this because we all need to see this. 5 guys for your eyes. This is something that we started this season. We started in the preseason. We went through each and every division. And we give you 5 guys for your eyes before the season. And then we gave them to you before week 1, before week 2, before week 3. And each week, I'm just putting up some of the names that were given to you before they popped off. Now, just take a look at this list. And then go look at any of these other pros that do this for a living. And these are the guys that they're telling you to pick up this week, more than likely. The majority of them. Or they told you last week, or they told you the week before. Puka was before week 1. Zay Flowers was preseason. Kyron preseason. Sam Laporta preseason. Musgrave preseason. Calvin Austin, Rashee Rice preseason. Mims preseason. Tank Dell I gave you last week, but that was after a big week. Wicks preseason, A-Chain preseason, Nico Collins preseason, Michael Wilson preseason, Josh Palmer preseason. Let's see what we got for this one. Week 4, number 5. This is a little homage to Rob. He brought him up last week in the ABG 3P. He had a very solid week last week, building upon his week 2. Josh Downs, getting a lot of love. Quentin Johnson, number 4. I'm not giving you anything special here. Quentin Johnson, a lot of people were very high on him. But since I named Josh Palmer as somebody I really liked in the preseason, because I knew Mike Williams would get hurt, and sooner or later, Keenan Allen's going to get hurt. I wish no injury upon anyone, but it's going to happen. So Quentin Johnson, yeah, I mean, he fits the Mike Williams role. Joshua Palmer's more of the Keenan Allen role. However, Joshua Palmer has been playing as the number 3. Would not surprise me if Quentin Johnson goes exactly where Mike Williams goes. You're not going to see Palmer move to his position. Palmer's going to stay right where he was. However, the one thing you have with maybe Palmer over Quentin Johnson, in my mind, is the familiarity factor. Herbert's familiar with him. He likes throwing to him. He had success last year when Allen was out, which is why I say he's more of like an Allen guy. But Quentin Johnson definitely needs to be picked up. Number 3, mentioned him a little bit on the show. Rob was trying to hype up Deuce Vaughn. I said, I feel like Rico Dowdle was a little bit better. He looked pretty good last week. CJ Stroud, not blowing anything out of the water here, but I listen, I did say before week 1 that he did not look good in the preseason. He looks good now. And number 1, a name that we all know, Noah Fant. He's put together consecutive, very solid weeks. He's definitely their best tight end, and they're looking to get him more and more involved. I think he starts to see the end zone at least 2 or 3 times in these next couple weeks. And there's one more. Now, if you give me 5, give me the guy comments from different people, I'm going to let you know tonight. It's not a blockbuster, but it's somebody who could be valuable for you to know. So if I see 5 fall, I'll give it to you. But moving on. We had a question from Chris. Chris said, would you drop DJ Moore, Lockett, Godwin, or Scary Terry for Josh Palmer or Tank Dell? Well, the problem with Palmer, I'm almost positive, I think he's week 5 bye. So you're picking him up. If one of these guys is your starter, you're set because, I mean, you got 4 really solid guys right there anyways. I think if I would drop one, I feel like the most worthless at this point until Fields gets it going is DJ Moore. I do worry about the Nathaniel Dell regression because Nico's going to have his weeks. If Mechie gets going, he's going to have his weeks. Robert Woods is, always around. Like I said, they started to get Brevin Jordan involved. I do think they get that run game going eventually with Dameon Pierce. It started last week. These wide receivers and CJ Stroud's play is helping that run game. Before it, they were just, stacking the box. And these wide receivers are going up, but it's continued now 3 weeks in a row. People are going to have to respect it. I think DJ Moore would be the one. And I probably, I really love Tank Dell, Mr. Nathaniel, but I think I'd go after Palmer just because you've got season long. He's their number 2. I just think that I think you'll get more big plays and maybe more touchdowns from Quentin Johnson from week 4 through 17. But I think you'll get more catches and more yards overall from Josh Palmer. Tank could be that dude, though. He's got the higher upside. But DJ Moore would be the one that I would drop. I think the other ones I just got to hold on to. Godwin worries me a little, but there was a tough defense last night. Baker was okay. It was wet out. Mike Evans dropped a ton of balls that killed drives, but he does like Evans more than Godwin. But I think if you drop DJ Moore for Palmer or Dell, I'm fine with it. You just got to keep in mind that if you do it for Palmer, he's got to buy next week, week 5. Question from Rob. He could barely read what it says. I tried as best I could. This is a question from me and you. Which side do you think would be better? He thinks he's trying to just use name value with Henry to see if it works. A lot of people do that, and a lot of people fall for it. This is the league that I'm in with Rob. He's trying to get CeeDee Lamb and Javonte from the reigning champion for Derrick Henry and Drake London. I don't think that this guy would accept this trade at all. Just knowing him. And I think that the top wins the trade as well. I think this week is the week that Javonte finally goes off. He's going against the Bears. Come on. So I don't think that he would do that. And I think you got to offer just a little bit more. But Rob, if you're listening, what you're offering him, I would give you what you want. Tim wants to know Kamara's back. So out of my 3, who should occupy my RB positions? Gibbs, Stevenson, Kamara. If you can get Stroud, I would still have to start Jones versus Seattle. I would go with Stroud over Jones. And I got to tell you, Zeke looked really good last week. It was like young Zeke going against those Jets. I got a feeling they're going to start to use him a little bit more. Stevenson's been running in mud. But I'm not going to use Kamara, I don't think, the first game back. Let me see. I don't know because I haven't done my analysis yet for the week. I just want to see who the Saints are playing. The Bucks. Listen, Tim, this is on a Tuesday, and you know how we roll here. You're asking me this question on Tuesday. You're going to have to ask it again regardless because my feelings are going to change. But I'm definitely playing Gibbs Thursday night. So lock Gibbs in, probably Stevenson over Kamara. No, give me that, guys. Only one person with a hashtag answers by guess. Congratulations. This was a post by me next week. Remember to watch the live shows. Tune in on time to catch the intros. Hint, hint. And ask any questions well before 12:30 Eastern Standard Time on Sundays to ensure that we see and address them. Rob does a really great job. He's got twin boys. They're like 10 or 11, maybe a little younger. My kids are 4 months old, 5 months old, going on 4.5, 3 and 5. I'm busy getting that taken care of so I can watch football. That's why I say 12:30, please, because I feel absolutely terrible when people post a question I don't have a chance to answer. I'm not saying I would be helpful or hurtful, but I like to try and help because you're asking for it. Keith wants to know his backs are Barkley, Cam, Kyron. I don't know if it's Javonte or Jamal, Ford, and Taylor, Algier, and allergies. What would you trade for Kelsey or Olave? Allergies would be my first to go. Hate them. I think you'd have to get rid of Barkley. I mean, listen, if I'm a Kelsey owner, here's what I said in the beginning. There are so many running backs this year. I counted over 60 that are rosterable. Unless you're in an 8-team league or 10-team even, or 12 with really shallow benches, there are literally 60 to 70, if not even a couple more, running backs that are rosterable at this point that are giving similar production. And there's only a couple that are up there. CMC, being the biggest, with Eckler out, Chubb out, Barkley out. And Barkley comes back. If he's healthy and he stays healthy, he goes into that group. If I'm a Kelsey owner, I don't want any of these guys. I'm not giving up Kelsey to get any of these guys. I mean, I'm taking too big of a hit at tight end to bump up a little bit at running back. Cam Akers, you don't know what you're going to get. Kyren, I hope it continues. He was a 5 guy for your eye in the preseason. Javonte, I love. Okay, he's got to get going. You can't trade Javonte until after this week when he kills the Bears. Jamal. And at that point, you might as well keep Javonte because of everything I just said about running backs. Ford looked good, but he didn't. I mean, he got 2 touchdowns last week. His yardage was terrible. Taylor, we got to see what happens with him. Algier. Olave, the same thing. I think you'd have to get rid of Barkley because if anybody drafted Kelsey, they had a shot at Barkley, and they chose Kelsey. Olave is like a second rounder. These teams would have to be struggling. They'd have to have absolute trash at the running back position. I'm sorry, Keith, but I just think that they would. I don't know that unless somebody's absolutely stacked at wide receiver that they'd give up Olave. And I can't even think of, unless it's Kittle. If they got Kelsey and Kittle, then maybe they get rid of Kelsey. But that's a tough one. You're better off just sticking with those guys and trying to find a tight end, which if it's not Kelsey, I mean, they're another group. I mean, tight ends, running backs are like tight ends at this point. Let's get into the live questions. One person, just the one. Just the one. Nate said, hey. Mikey said, hey. All right, Jeremy, you're in the right place. Craig's got the Bills D. Should he be worried this week or stay with them? It's Miami, right? Am I correct? Am I correct in that? Yeah, it's Miami. I think you just got to stick with them. I mean, there's a couple out there this week that obviously you could play instead of it. The problem, Craig, I've looked at your roster a few different times. You're going to have to drop somebody. You're going to have to drop depth for a 1 week defensive streamer. Just stick with them. It's in Buffalo. The Mafia is going to be going nuts. They're not giving up 70. They're division rivals. They've played them before. I just stick with the Bills. If I had to pick one of these, once again, lineup questions are tough on a Tuesday just because I have not analyzed. But if I got to pick one of these, I'm probably going to go with Jacobs, but I have to wait and see. Is Jimmy Garoppolo going to play? He's in concussion protocol, I believe. But if he plays, they're on the road against the Chargers. The defense has not looked great. Played a little better last week. Probably end up going with him. Pacheco's going against the Jets. I think Kyron's going against the Colts. The Colts are a sneaky good defense. They might even be one of the top defenses so far this year, and it's going unnoticed. Not many people, but check it out. I'm sure they're on the waiver wire. If you look at the Colts, their defense has been great this year, and it was great last week, even with the backup quarterback in there. I think I'd go Jacobs for right now. I think he started to get it going a little bit last week. If JT doesn't go to, I don't think he's going to go to Baltimore. They got my homie waiting in the wings. Vikings just got Cam. I think Carolina's fine with Sanders. It's going to be tough. I got JT sitting on my IR. I took a risk. I was really hoping it would be Miami because of what we just saw last week. I mean, that's what I envisioned. He's not as fast as those two, but I have no clue. Cleveland would be a good shot, but now they got a full running back room. Miami's still my best guess, but we'll see what happens. If you can get a Chan, remember he changed his name for some reason. He wants it to be a Chan. If you need running back help, which we all do, sure. See, Josh Reynolds is one of those guys that I sort of mentioned. I was like, his 2 touchdowns were a little fluky week 2. I mean, he is Jared Goff's best buddy from his days back, with the Rams, both of them, but they were a little fluky. And then we saw what happened. In week 7, it's going to roll around, and J-Mo's going to be there. So he's going to just keep falling down. Laporta's coming on strong. And the whole Jets situation. I mean, yeah, if you got a better one, Mikey, if you got better wide receivers out there, I'm fine moving on from both these guys and running back as well. Because Breece Hall's holding up, but the offense isn't. Algier I'd hold on to longer than the other two. You got Henry, Jacobs, Akers, and Herbert worth picking up a Chan and starting him. I would not be worried about Jacobs. I think it's going to get better. What I'd be worried about is Jimmy G. They do have the rookie quarterback that a lot of people wanted to play. So maybe it won't even be too bad. Maybe the offense might even be a little better. It'd be interesting to see the developments this week with practice. Keep your eyes peeled to Vegas. We'll talk more about that on the Friday or Saturday show. I think if you're going to drop anybody, it's tough because you want to see how Akers looks for Minnesota. I mean, he looked good at the end of the year last year. The Rams hated him. We'll see how he looks in Minnesota. But Madison played better last week, like I thought it would. Over 100 yards, all purpose. It's definitely worth picking up Achane. I opened up the show and been talking about it. I mean, Jeremy, that name has been given to you since July. And it's only a matter of time. Mostert's going to go down. It's going to be him. And who knows, Ahmed. They still got, what's his face, Jeffrey Wilson there. I always want to call him Williams. Think about the high school with the Jeff Williams. Jeffrey Wilson. If you're worried, then that's all you can do. This is running backs this year. It's the theme of the show. It's the theme of the season. Love or Goff on Thursday. Oh, man. Love is just so inaccurate. He's just so inaccurate. But Goff's on the road. So I'd probably go with Love. Because he's at home. Start Fields or Stroud this week. I'm going to go with Stroud. I think that you just continue to do it. Just want to make sure. I mean, Pittsburgh defense is tough. Denver's defense is not that bad. They ran into a buzzsaw. That's it. They were sticking with the Dolphins for a little while, and then I think it was too hot. Those Denver mountain folk, they couldn't hang. They get these 30-mile-per-hour running back and wide receivers buzzing around. They ran into it. They got chopped up. And as soon as they were down by like 4 touchdowns, it was over. And then it was just so. If I had the choice, if I had Stroud on my team, I got Fields on 4 teams. Herbert is on one of those 4. I've been using Herbert. But if I had the choice between 2, I think I'm just going to go with Stroud. They're at home. It is against Pittsburgh, but I'm going to go with Stroud as of right now on a Tuesday. Same league as above, using 2 wide receivers of flex. Yeah. Sure. Yep. Pick up Palmer if you don't get Achane. All right. So this was about. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. All right. Still, I think it'd be tough, Keith, for you to try and get Olave um, or Kelsey for any of those running backs. I hate start sit questions on Tuesdays. You know I do, Rob. Atlanta. Who do I sit? I gotta keep sitting with Connor. I have to. I can't suggest guys that I don't like. He's getting it done. They've been looking good, but they're on the road in San Francisco, so it's Connor for me. He's probably looked better than Stevenson throughout the year. I just said Zeke looked very good last week. But I'm going to sit Connor out of those three going against San Francisco. We'll see if Dobbs can keep it going against the best defense in football. Yeah, they're hurting at running back. Okay, so Herbert, Craig Reynolds. Oh man. All right, so you might be able to. I mean, if I want to go back to Keith's question, let's see here. Oh, yeah, this is the stage. I think you probably have to get rid of. I'd be okay getting rid of Ford. I'd offer him Ford for Olave and just see what he says. Let's go from there. And then come back, post on in the group, or come back to the show, whether we do it Friday night or Saturday night, and let's just see what he says about Ford for Olave. Just do it. If he's hurting that bad at running back, he might take it. Ford's stat line, his points look good last week. His yardage didn't. But just offer it. Offer it. Just go from there. That's tough. I don't like doing that, but if you got nothing else to do, then you might as well. But that's tough. I don't like doing that. It's counteractive. Yes, and I said that last week, Josue, and it might have even been last Tuesday, a week ago to the day. If not, it was definitely on the ABG 3P show Saturday night with Rob. I was buying Dameon Pierce and I'm buying Jacobs, buying low on both of them. And if you can get Javonte Williams before Sunday, I highly suggest it. He hasn't been great in the stat line. He's going against the Bears. They're going to get him going. If I had to start one, Hunt or Akers, gosh. Hunt at least already got burned with his new team, even though they're his old team. Going against the Ravens, he knows them. They know him. Otherwise, I gotta see. Otherwise, against the Panthers, we don't know how much Akers is going to play. He's been there a week and a half. I'd probably go with Hunt right now until we get some practice reports from Akers this week. If Watson and Jones are a go, play them Thursday. I'm very nervous about Christian Watson. Jones, yeah. I'd feel good about Aaron Jones. They need him. AJ Dillon is terrible unless Aaron Jones plays. But Watson, I'm going to wait that one out. I'm going to wait that one out. I don't like it. He's had this injury since before week 1. He's hardly practiced, didn't practice yesterday. I haven't seen a report about today. I did see that he switched his status, but I didn't see any practice reports. But Jones, I would play Jones for sure, especially without a better option. That's fine. Congrats on your new job. All right. So here we go. Thursday night game. I mean, the Packers have so many weapons. It's really starting to look good for them. If Jordan Love was accurate, I'd feel a lot better about them winning this game. I'm a Packers fan. I think they should be able to win. It's Goff on the road. It's Goff outdoors. He's always better inside. He's always better at home. I think it's going to be very close. They beat a Packers team last year. We all know the last week of the season. All the Packers had to do was win to go to the playoffs. They didn't. Say whatever you want about Aaron Rodgers. He didn't look his best that game. They took their foot off the gas pedal, and they took that game too lightly. I don't think the Packers take this one lightly. I do think the Packers win. I think it's very close. The defense hasn't looked good, but I think the home field's going to help them. I just said Watson I wouldn't trust. Aaron Jones I'd be fine with if I need to. If you're stuck with Dillon, hope that Aaron Jones plays. A.J. Dillon's only good when Aaron Jones plays. If Aaron Jones doesn't play, A.J. Dillon is trash. I don't know why. It's just how it is. Dobbs finally looks healthier. Jaden Reed, I talked about in last Saturday's ABG 3P show. I have the same feeling about him that I had Devontae Adams' rookie year. After watching him and rewatching the games, I've yet to rewatch week 3 games. That's what I get into starting tomorrow night. But throughout the first 2 games and just watching him, he reminds me of a young Devontae. He does a lot of the same things. So he's somebody that you have to look at. Musgrave, I'd be fine playing him. Laporta, you got to play him. ASB, you got to play him. And Gibbs, you got to play him. I think other than that, you leave him out. I think this game probably gets to the low 20s. And I think we'll have some good fantasy production. Let's see what we got here. A couple questions. Michael wants to ask Dell or Josh Palmer. We answered that one, Michael. I said I would probably go after Palmer. I love Dell. Love Mr. Nathaniel Dell, but I just feel like I know for a fact that Palmer's going to be very involved throughout the rest of the season. He will be their number 2. His position will not change. Quentin Johnson will play the Mike Williams role. Palmer will stay that slot intermediate type of guy to sort of do the same type of things that Keenan Allen does. The only problem is when you get Josh Palmer, he has a bye week, week 5. So you just got to be ready for that. And then your follow-up question, which was also part of the question, was the answer before. Achane, for whatever reason, defying the laws of English pronunciation. Achane. I'd go after him first just because it's running backs. We've talked about it ad nauseum throughout the show. You want as many as you can get because you're just hoping one of them pops because they're all garbage. But you can't chase last week's stats. But if you're dying at wide receiver, you got to go after one of the wide receivers, or you get Achane and you trade him for an even better wide receiver. Play chess, not checkers. What are your thoughts on Kyler? Similar to how I felt last year. He needs to retire and go play for the Oakland Athletics. Honest. Owned him last year and 2 years ago. Suffered through the injuries. I mean, he had that great start. And then once he got hurt, once D-Hop got hurt, it was just never the same. The coaching staff doesn't like him. I don't think even if he comes back, especially with that win last week over the Cowboys, I don't even know if they let him start over Dobbs. If there's somebody else like a Keaton Mitchell, who I've been talking about since before week 1, and especially after week 1 when J.K. Dobbins went down, I'd rather scoop him, stash him on my IR for one more week and let him get going than Kyler Murray. Those are my thoughts on him. So, if no more questions, once again, I gotta throw this back up here just so we all know. It's going to be different. And ABG 3P this week, which is the main show, is going to be either Friday night at 9 p.m. or late night on Saturday. And when I say late night, I'm talking it could be 11. Family, me and my wife and our kids are going out to do something, and we're not going to be back till late. So that's why I might do it Friday, because I might be exhausted. I'm old and fat, and I'll probably be tired. But I'm going to be alone because Rob's in Tennessee living it up at a wedding. So it'll be different. So please, 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 even if you ask questions tonight, please come back with them. I will have done my analysis throughout the next 3 days. That's why I kind of want to do this show Saturday night late, but we got to see how much I get through, because I do spend as much of the day as I can on Saturday whenever I can sneak down away from the family and turn on the games. On Saturday, before our Saturday show, please ask the questions again. And we won't have any props to go over just because Rob won't be here. We will miss him. Hollywood Brown owners trying to pick him up on waivers before I got him. Would you try and trade him another player for T. Higgins? Yes. Yes. Yes, I would. Of course I would. You getting T. Higgins? I mean, the way I would look at that, Kyler Murray and someone else for T. Higgins. In my mind, that's someone else for T. Higgins. And if that someone else is worth less than T. Higgins, you win. You win. We don't need Kyler. Not yet. It's not that bad. All right. So, best of luck at Thursday. Hopefully, this week's a little more stable. I feel like we're getting there. Stick with us. And congratulations, Craig. You won a t shirt. You were the only one that did what we said to do. There will be more chances. Got to make sure you tune in. Got to be on time. We love you, ABG family. Have a great night. Enjoy your week 4. I will see you Friday night or Saturday night. I see he wanted DJ Moore. Give him DJ Moore and Kyler Murray. Get yourself T. Higgins. Enjoy it. Thanks, Craig. You too. ABG family, we love you.